Chapter 551. After saying a few more words, Song Tai left, but when Song Tai walked back, both Sonia and Ji Yulinger looked at David with strange eyes. Why are you two looking at me like that? David asked in a panic. I ask you, does Song Tai like you? A dignified star, will she bring you something specially? She came to this small horrendal for a concert, I think it's mostly for you, right? Talented woman, are you excited? Sonia asked David with sharp eyes. I don't know if she likes me, but I don't like her at all. I said that I am a very single-minded person. If you don't believe me, there is nothing I can do. I need to practice these days, and I don't want anyone to disturb. David pretended to be angry and turned back to his bedroom. Sonia was stunned. Linger, am I going too far? Sonia didn't know if she was talking too much, so she asked Ji Yulinger in a low voice. Ji Yulinger looked confused. I don't know, but looking at David's appearance, he may be really angry. The most important thing in two people's relationship is trust. If you don't trust him like this, it may make him sad. Then, what should I do then? Sonia panicked. Wait and see, maybe in 2 days. Ji Yulinger has no experience either, so she can only wait and see. When David returned to the room, he let out a long sigh of relief. If he didn't use this method, he still didn't know when Sonia would question him. After sitting cross-legged, David started to practice the condensation art. There are still 5 days left before Song Tai's concert. David hopes that he can break through the Inidia period in these 5 days. If he reaches the period of Inidia, David will be able to stop eating fireworks, be safe for a few months, and his strength will also increase a lot. Even if he encounters a master like Qian Feng, he can solve it with just a wave of his hand. When David was cultivating, there was a bare stone island thousands of kilometers away. There are no animals and plants on the island, there are only various kinds of stones, so no one comes here. But at this time on the beach on the seaside of the island, a man was fishing with a hat and a fishing rod in his hand. Not far away, a girl was sweating like a rain of sweat. If David saw this girl, he would definitely be able to recognize this girl. This girl is Xiao Ru, the daughter of a virtuous Taoist priest. At the beginning, the Taoist master Buxu was killed by Taoist Chunwei. After David took revenge for Taoist master Buxu, he gave the 7-star plate to Xiao Ru and let Xiao Ru leave with Taoist Wu Wei. A few months later, Xiao Ru actually appeared on this deserted island, but the old man who was fishing didn't look like a Taoist in action. Xiao Ru, go to the sea to catch a few fish to cook, I'm hungry for the teacher. Said the old man fishing. I know, master. Xiao Ru nodded and jumped straight into the sea, her whole body was gone. Just after Xiao Ru jumped into the sea, a small boat came quickly. The boat had no power, and there was only a middle-aged man standing on it, but the speed of the boat was as fast as a propeller. Soon the boat stopped on the shore, and the middle-aged man jumped up and down to the fishing old man's side. Butler Long, the news has spread. The middle-aged man said respectfully to the old fishing man. Yeah. The old man nodded, took off his hat, revealing a wrinkled face. David would be surprised to see it, because this old man was the Irvin who taught him in prison. Chapter 552. What day is it now? The old Irvin asked. The 8th day of June. The middle-aged man replied. Speaking of which, there is still more than a month left. I hope that David's cultivation base will grow faster, and it is best to reach the 5th floor of the foundation. The Irvin said with hope in his eyes. Butler Long, the young master has a short training time, and since it has only been a few months, even if you are talented, it will be difficult. The middle-aged man shook his head. I know it's difficult, but there's no way, he's the only hope, otherwise no one can save Miss. A hint of helplessness flashed in the eyes of the Irvin, and then he looked at the calm sea. That's all I can do, the rest can only be seen by good luck. Whoa. Just after Irvin finished speaking, there was a surging sea surface, and Xiao Ru's body rushed out instantly, holding 2 groupers in her hands. Master, there was a grouper today. Xiao Ru happily shouted to the Irvin. After reaching the shore, Xiao Ru was not surprised to see the middle-aged man, but politely shouted, Uncle Long, you are here. The middle-aged man smiled and nodded. Soon Xiao Ru took the fish and left to cook, and the middle-aged man looked at Xiao Ru's back and couldn't help sighing. What a good child, and he is still an ice crystal, his future strength is limitless. Ah. Hey. Irvin also sighed. I can't help it either. If I have to, I can only sacrifice her. I can't let the young master die. Once the young master dies, the eldest miss will definitely not survive. Now, the entire Long family will not be the Long family of the past. But I still hope that Butler Long can explain to Xiao Ru this girl. I believe Xiao Ru will know the basics. After all, the young master is her savior. The middle-aged man looked a little low. Having been in contact with Xiao Ru during this period of time, this middle-aged man has developed feelings for him. He does not want Xiao Ru to be kept in the dark and finally die inexplicably. Well, I'll tell her. The old Irvin nodded. After you spread the news, how did the people in the Long family react? Of course they were shocked. They thought that the eldest young lady's child had already died. Now that they knew that they were still alive, they began to send people to look around. Said the middle-aged man. That's good, with the strength of the Long family, it shouldn't take long to find the young master. The old Irvin said with a smile. Steward Long, why are you so anxious to let the people of the Long family know that the young master is still alive? Can't we wait until the young master has grown up for a few years and become stronger? The middle-aged man asked with a puzzled expression. Because the eldest miss can't hold on for that long. She has been imprisoned for more than 20 years and has been tortured. If you don't give her some spiritual support, she can't hold on. There was a foggy patch in the Irvin's eyes, and a tear fell down. The middle-aged man's expression was also very low, and he said to the Irvin, Butler Long, what secret did the old family master tell the eldest miss before he died, so that the people of the Long family desperately wanted to know and shut the eldest lady? After all these years. I don't know either, but this secret should be very important to the Long family, otherwise the eldest miss would not be alive until now. The old Irvin shook his head. The two were silent, and neither of them spoke anymore, but Xiao Ru's voice soon came. Master, Uncle Long, the meal is ready, you can come over to eat. The Irvin and the middle-aged man looked at each other and smiled, and the two walked towards Xiao Ru, and soon there was a burst of laughter and a burst of fragrance in front of a stone house. Chapter 553. Horrendal Phoenician Villa. At this time, David has been locked in the room for 4 days. During these 4 days, David has been absorbing the spiritual energy in the spirit stone, and there are not many spirit stones left in the courtyard at this time. In David's body, the spiritual energy has almost reached a state of gushing, surging in waves, as if to break through the Dantian. David's forehead was already dripping with sweat, and every breakthrough in the realm was a catastrophe. Not only the Dantian would break through and then reshape, even the body. Now David feels as if his whole body is a puddle of mud, and all the bones are broken, but David does not dare to stop, because he knows that this is the most critical time for breakthrough. As long as you break through the past, your strength will have a qualitative leap, but if you give up, or fail, you will not know when the next breakthrough will be. Rumbling. Suddenly, there was a burst of sound in David's body, and then the Dantian was smashed by the aura of the vast sea, but soon the broken Dantian reunited again, and the vast aura was sucked into the Dantian again. But this time, after the vast spiritual energy poured into the Dantian, there was no movement at all, as if the stone was sinking into the sea, and there was no turbulent surging just now. Breakthrough. David opened his eyes suddenly, with excitement in his eyes. If the Dantian in the foundation building period was a bucket, now that David has broken through, the Dantian has become a water tank. The original bucket of water is full, but when it is poured into the water tank, it is inconspicuous. David looked out of the window. At this time, David could see clearly from hundreds of meters outside the window, and his hearing became sensitive. David's temperament has also undergone a lot of changes. Stepping into the fasting period is the beginning of the real cultivation of immortals, and he can stop eating the fireworks of the world. Walking out of the room, David found that Sonia and Ji Yulinger were not there. It was estimated that they were bored these days, so they went shopping. I took a shower in the bathroom and changed my clothes. David, who originally wanted to have a good night's sleep, was called out by Zhao Wuqi. In a tea house in Horrendal, Zhao Wuqi brought Xu Shimao here. Xu Shimao is worthy of being a great master. Such a serious injury will have no effect in a few days. Seeing David's arrival, Xu Shimao politely helped David move a chair. Xuaniwegu and his party, if it wasn't for David, Xu Shimao would have long since become a corpse. This is the tea I brought myself from Kyoto, you can taste it. Zhao Wuqi said to David. David picked up the teacup and took a sip. Is there anything you want to do with me? It's not a big deal. I just want to thank you for saving Captain Xu. The other thing is the Qin family. They shouldn't come to trouble you in a short time. You have to wait for the Qin family's head to go out. Zhao Wuji said. You called me out just to tell me this. David smiled lightly. Even if the Qin family came to trouble me now, I'm not afraid. David, who was promoted to the Inidia state, even if the great master of internal energy came, it would only be a slap in the face. Mr. Chen, I hope you don't underestimate the enemy. The current strength of the Qin family should not be underestimated. The 4 great diamonds of the Qin family are all killing machines, all of which are the strength of the great masters, and the patriarch of the Qin family may leave the customs this time. It is the peak of the great master, and it is even possible to be promoted to the master of martial arts. This is a very terrifying power. Zhao Wuqi persuaded David. Okay, if you just come and tell me this, then you can go. I didn't take the Qin family seriously at all. David slowly got up and prepared to leave. Mr. Chen, can I take the liberty to ask you, what level of strength do you have now? Zhao Wuqi is very curious, what kind of strength is David? However, after hearing that Xu Shimao came back, David easily killed Qian Feng, the owner of Xuanyu Valley, which made Zhao Wuqi wonder how powerful David was. Chapter 554. David hesitated, then shook his head. I don't know how my strength compares to yours, because I'm not a martial artist. Are you a warlock? Zhao Wuji asked. David shook his head again. Zhao Wuqi was stunned for a moment, then his eyes were wide open, his eyes were full of surprise as he looked at David, his mouth was enough to fit an egg. Captain Shu, you go out to guard, no one is allowed to approach without my order. Zhao Wuqi suddenly ordered to Xu Shimao. Xu Shimao walked out of the room and stood guard at the door, while Zhao Wuqi looked at David and said, could it be that Mr. Chen is a monk? You know the monks too? David was stunned. The Bai family knew the existence of the monks because they had met them before, but how could Zhao Wuji know about it? Seeing David asking this question, Zhao Wuqi immediately understood, and nodded immediately. Of course I know about immortal cultivators, and there are still many immortal cultivating families in our Daxia country, but these families and people are all hidden from the world. If you don't go out, you won't reveal your strength at all, so many people don't know it. As the pavilion owner of the Kyoto Dharma Protector Pavilion, of course I understand. Are there many immortal cultivators in this world? David became excited when he heard this. He has always wanted to find immortal cultivators other than Irvin. After all, he is too lonely, and he still doesn't understand many things in the immortal world. He really wants to find someone to ask. Zhao Wuqi nodded. Some things are secret, so I can't go into detail with Mr. Chen. Since Mr. Chen is a cultivator, I can rest assured, no wonder I dare not take the Chen family seriously. Is something wrong with you? David asked, looking at Zhao Wuji's expression. To be honest with Mr. Chen, I'm looking for Mr. Chen this time because I want Mr. Chen to do me a favor and hold an international exchange meeting sometime later. I heard that both Shang Guo and Luo Guo have secretly found experts. Captain has something to do, Captain Shu has just been injured, and I would like to ask Mr. Chen to help us fight at this international exchange meeting. Zhao Wuji said a little embarrassedly. David frowned slightly and hesitated. It wasn't that he couldn't fight, but that it was getting closer and closer to July 15th, and it was still more than a month away. He wanted to take advantage of his spare time to quickly cultivate and improve his cultivation. 4. If Mr. Chen is embarrassed, then forget it. After knowing that David was a cultivator, Zhao Wuqi was even more respectful to David. What time? David asked. 2 months later. Zhao Wuqi hurriedly replied. 2 months later. David smiled. You said 2 months earlier, I promised you a long time ago. Could it be that Mr. Chen still has something to deal with? Zhao Wuqi asked, if there is anyone I can help with, I am willing to help. David waved his hand. No need, it's just a private matter. After chatting for a while, Zhao Wuqi took Xu Shimao and left, but just after opening the door, Zhao Wuqi suddenly turned around and said, Mr. Chen, there will be an antique exhibition and auction in Kyoto in 5 days, I think you may be able to use it. Things. David was slightly taken aback. Antique exhibition auction. Is it officially organized? Of course not. The organizer is a Hong Kong businessman and a collector. He held this exhibition and auction in order to attract some antique lovers to take out their treasures. As long as this Hong Kong businessman likes it, he will not hesitate to after all the costs are won. Our Dharma Protector Pavilion is only responsible for the security work. Zhao Wuqi explained. Well, thank you Pavilion Master Zhao. David needs a lot of spiritual power now, and these antiques will also contain spiritual power, or like Ji Yu Wenshin's dragon chair, containing resentment can help David practice. After sending Zhao Wuqi away, David also went home, but seeing that Sonia hadn't come back, David fell asleep. It is estimated that Sonia has returned to Su's house. Chapter 555. Early the next morning, Song Tai sent someone to bring David the tickets, all of them in the front row. David saw that it was still early for the show, and he fell asleep again with his head covered. In Horrendal Stadium, Chen Yingxia and 2 female classmates were waiting anxiously at the door. Yingxia, can your brother really buy tickets? I know that this time the tickets are sold out very early, and many people got them from scalpers at high prices. A female classmate asked Chen Yingxia. My brother is very good. He said that if he can get it, he will definitely get it. Chen Yingxia trusts David very much. In Chen Yingxia's eyes, David has even cleaned up Chen Guzi. He must be an amazing person. Then you call your brother, hurry up and bring the tickets, you will be entering the venue soon. Another female classmate urged anxiously. I've called, it's turned off. Chen Yingxia was also very anxious at this time. At this moment, 3 17 or 18-year-old boys came over, and one of the boys was still wearing ear studs, and he was drooling. Seeing these 3 boys, Chen Yingxia seemed a little scared and flustered. Yingxia, do you have no tickets? The boy with the ear studs asked. Chen Yingxia just glanced at the boy and didn't speak. On the other hand, the girl on the side said, Yingxia said that his brother got us tickets. Haha, do you know how difficult it is to get tickets? Let me tell you, my dad is also a sponsor of this concert, so I got a few tickets for the front row. The boy took out a few tickets and shook them in front of Chen Yingxia and the other girls. As soon as they heard that they were tickets for the front row, the eyes of the 2 girls beside Chen Yingxia were straight, and Chen Yingxia couldn't help but take a second look. Brother Po, can we take a look? The 2 girls asked the boy flatteringly. Okay. The boy handed the tickets in his hand to the 2 girls. The 2 girls' eyes were full of light, and they couldn't put it down. If Yingxia can promise to be my girlfriend and KSS me, I can give you this ticket. The boy said playfully. Really? When the two girls heard this, they immediately became excited. Yingxia, Brother Po's family is a big businessman. If you have money, will you agree to be his girlfriend? Yes, you are going to KSS Brother Po, and we can get the tickets. It's the 10th row seat, so we can see Song Tai without binoculars. Chen Yingxia had just transferred to another school, so she didn't have many friends. These two girls were her best friends, but at this time, she even persuaded herself to KSS Zhang Jianpo for the ticket. How can you two be like this? I don't like him, let alone KSS him. Chen Yingxia frowned slightly. Yingxia, you won't die if you KSS it. What age is it now? You are still so conservative. That's right, you are a transfer student from the countryside. Brother Po sees you. That's your good fortune. Why don't you know it's rare? In order to get tickets, the two girls desperately persuaded Chen Yingxia. I don't want the tickets. If you want, you can get them yourself. My brother will give me the tickets. I believe him. Chen Yingxia distanced herself from the two girls. Your brother lied to you. If he had tickets, he would have come a long time ago. Now he has turned off his mobile phone. Don't think about it. Your brother is also from the countryside. No matter how talented you are, how powerful can you be? I don't think you can even get the tickets for the last row. The two girls had a bit of contempt on their faces. Seeing this, Chen Yingxia lowered her head slightly and stopped talking, feeling a little sad. After all, these are two of her good friends, but now, for a ticket, she said so. Chen Yingxia, since you don't know how to praise, then wait here slowly. Zhang Jianpo's mouth twitched, and he took the tickets from the two girls back. Chapter 556. Brother Po, you have so many tickets, please give us 2 or 2. The two girls were pleading with Zhang Jianpo. Zhang Jianpo said with a wicked smile, yes, you two have to accompany me tonight. This time, the two girls were stunned. They were only high school students, and they had never slept with anyone. If they were asked to KSS, the two of them would not hesitate, but sleeping with them, the two girls were a little scared. It doesn't matter if you don't agree, then I will tear up the ticket. Seeing that the two girls hesitated, Zhang Jianpo picked up the tickets and was about to tear them up. Brother Po, I agree, I agree. Finally, a girl gritted her teeth and said. Seeing this, another girl nodded hurriedly, I agree too, I agree too. Haha, if you two dare to lie to me, you will not be able to bear the consequences. Zhang Jianpo laughed and gave the tickets in his hand to two girls. The two girls held the tickets and laughed excitedly. How could the two of you agree to this kind of thing for a ticket? Hurry up and return it to him, my brother can really get the ticket. Chen Yingxia didn't want to see her two good friends fall into Zhang Jianpo's account, so she hurriedly persuaded them. Chen Yingxia, stop pretending, we won't believe you anymore. One of the girls said to Chen Yingxia angrily. Chen Yingxia, if you want, just KSS me, you can figure it out for yourself. Zhang Jianpo said playfully. You're dead, it's just a concert, don't watch it. Chen Yingxia glared at Zhang Jianpo. Okay, since you have the backbone, let's go in. As Zhang Jianpo said, he stepped forward and put his arms around a girl, ready to line up to check the tickets. Although the faces of the two girls were not very good, neither one of them struggled, letting Zhang Jianpo hold his arms and those big hands wandering around. Don't go with him. Chen Yingxia watched Zhang Jianpo do something to his two friends. Chen Yingxia stepped forward to stop him and said. Chen Yingxia, we don't have the backbone of you. If you don't go, don't stop us. This is our own choice. Stay on the side, let us come here for nothing, if it wasn't for Brother Po's appearance, none of us would be able to get in. The two girls didn't appreciate it at all. Zhang Jianpo smiled coldly, go away. After pushing Chen Yingxia away, Zhang Jianpo took two girls to line up. But at this moment, David arrived with Sonia and Ji Yu linger behind him. If Sonia hadn't returned to Pine Bay to pick up David, David would still be sleeping now. Yingxia, I'm sorry, I'm late. David said apologetically. Elder brother. Seeing David coming, Chen Yingxia's grievance broke out instantly and burst into tears. Yingxia, what's wrong with you? Sonia asked strangely. Sister-in-law. Chen Yingxia looked at Zhang Jianpo, bit her lip and didn't speak. At this moment, that Zhang Jianpo was looking at the two girls with his arms around him, and his eyes were erratic on Sonia and Ji Yu linger. Although the two of them are much older than him, the femininity on their bodies is not comparable to these 17 or 18-year-old girls. Sonia understood in an instant, looked at Zhang Jianpo and said, come over to me, you guys, are you bullying Yingxia? As Chen Yingxia's sister-in-law, of course Sonia has to stand up for Chen Yingxia, and in Horrendal, who would dare to follow her Su family against her? Sister-in-law, forget it. Chen Yingxia hurriedly stopped Sonia, she didn't want to cause trouble for Sonia for herself, after all, Zhang Jianpo's family was rich and powerful. Chapter 557. Sister, are you calling me? It's not good to be angry with such a beautiful person. Zhang Jianbo walked in front of Sonia with a wicked smile. Sonia frowned. A hairy child, where did you learn these stinky problems? Sister, I'm not a child anymore. I can do whatever you know, and I can play whatever you can. Do you want to try it? Zhang Jianbo said with a wicked smile. Snapped. As soon as the words fell, Sonia slammed it up. Even a teenage hairy boy dared to talk to himself like this. Zhang Jianbo was slapped, and the whole person was stunned. The two people who came with him hurriedly stepped forward to support Zhang Jianbo, and even took out a knife from his body. Seeing a few teenagers with knives on their bodies, Sonia was stunned, and suddenly seemed a little helpless. You dare to beat me, do you know who I am? My father is Zhang Yi. Zhang Jianbo roared at Sonia. Are you the son of the old Zhang family? Sonia looked at Zhang Jianbo and asked. Sonia, ignore them, let's go in. David didn't want to follow a bunch of children to care about anything, they were all just stunned, so what if they killed them? Sonia didn't want to talk to them anymore, she nodded and got ready to go in together. I want to leave after hitting Brother Po, how can it be so easy? One of Zhang Jianpo's companions, after shouting loudly, stabbed Sonia with a knife. At such a young age, it is ruthless. This frightened Sonia. Seeing this, Ji Yulinger who was beside Sonia suddenly grabbed the knife and broke the man's wrist. You are so vicious at such a young age. Ji Yulinger looked at each other angrily. David also frowned slightly at this time. He didn't want to have the same knowledge as these children, but these guys are so ruthless. What? The guy whose wrist was broken was howling in pain, while that Zhang Jianpo looked at his companion and broke out in a cold sweat all of a sudden. He didn't expect the opponent to shoot so hard, and he broke his wrist all of a sudden. The shrill screams caused many people to run past the crowd. At the same time, in a room in the stadium, Song Tai was discussing the concert with several sponsors. Zhang Jianpo's father, Zhang Yi, was also among them, just sitting on the edge, because everyone here is more powerful than him. Miss Song, there is a disturbance at the door of the concert. Now there are a lot of people gathered, I'm afraid it will affect the performance. A staff member hurried in and said. Song Tai frowned, do you know who he is? I don't know, it seems that they are all 17 or 18-year-old students, and there seems to be a leader named Zhang Jianpo. Said the staff. My son. Zhang Yi, who had been sitting on the edge, suddenly stood up. Mr. Zhang, your son led people to make trouble at the concert gate. If it affects the performance, there will be your Zhang family's money in it. Song Tai looked at Zhang Yi with an unhappy expression. Don't look at Song Tai as an actor, but who doesn't know the strength of the Song family, no one can compare in this small horrendal. Don't worry, Miss Song, I'll go out and have a look. Zhang Yi wiped his cold sweat and hurried out. After Zhang Yi left, Song Tai said to the staff, Lu, I have a friend who will come in a while, hold the first ticket, so that they don't have to wait in line, you can bring it in, I have his photo here. Song Tai gave David's photos to the staff. Song Tai secretly took these photos for David. When the staff saw the photo, they immediately said, Miss Song, this person is the one who caused the conflict at the door. What? Song Tai was startled, stood up in a hurry, and walked out in a hurry. Those sponsors also hurried out. Chapter 558. Don't even think about running away. Not only did you hit me, but I also broke my friend's hand. I'm going to call the police to arrest you all, and I'll ask my dad to break your legs. Zhang Jianpo roared at Ji Yulinger and the others after seeing many people around him. Now that so many people are watching, the other party will not be doing it. If it was just a few of them, Zhang Jianpo really didn't dare to be arrogant, and he would break his wrist as soon as he made a move. Zhang Jianpo is also afraid of such strength. Zhang Jianpo took out his mobile phone and was about to call his father. David looked at more and more onlookers around, his brows furrowed slightly, Chen Yingxia's face was a little pale with fright, and one hand firmly grasped David's arm. Sonia comforted Chen Yingxia. Yingxia, don't be afraid, no one dares to provoke me in Horrendal. Just when Zhang Jianpo was on the phone, Zhang Yi led someone to squeeze in a hurry. Seeing that his son was making trouble, he immediately became furious. You ba 5 tard, I gave you the tickets to let you watch the show, not to make trouble. Zhang Yi stepped forward to hit the Zhang Jianpo. Dad, it's not that we were making trouble. Someone beat me. Look at my face. They also broke my companion's arm. Zhang Jianpo was scared and hurriedly explained. Zhang Yi took a look, and sure enough, there was a bright red palm print on Zhang Jianpo's face. It was obvious that he had just been beaten. Looking at the ferocious-faced companion next to Zhang Jianpo, who had broken his arm, Zhang Yi took his hand back. Who beat you? Didn't you say it was my son? Zhang Yi said with a look of anger. Although the Zhang family is not a top class in Horrendal, it is not something that everyone can provoke. It was them, it was they who fought. Zhang Jianpo, Sonia, they said. Zhang Yi looked in the direction of Zhang Jianpo's finger. When he saw Sonia, Ji Yulinger and David, his whole body softened and he fell to the ground. Dad, what's wrong with you? Zhang Jianpo hurriedly supported Zhang Yi and asked. After Zhang Yi slapped Zhang Jianpo fiercely, he hurried to Sonia and the others. Miss Su, Miss Ji Yu, Mr. Chen, I'm really sorry, it was my godson who had no way to provoke you. It's up to you to deal with this kid. I have no complaints. As Zhang Yi said that, he knelt down in front of everyone's eyes. This time, Zhang Jianpo was dumbfounded, and everyone who followed Zhang Jianpo was dumbfounded. Brother Po, who are these people? The companion who followed Zhang Jianpo asked in shock. Zhang Jianpo shook his head. If he knew, he would not provoke him. You can wait for your little life. One of them is the eldest Miss Su family, the other is the old granddaughter, and the other is Mr. Chen, who is famous in Horrendal. Even that Lin Tianyu is Mr. Chen's sidekick. Helping Leng Deqing, no one dares to provoke. In the crowd, someone said gloatingly. This time, Zhang Jianpo was stunned, his crotch was wet all of a sudden. Everyone here is an existence that cannot be offended, and a single sentence can make their Zhang family go bankrupt. Get out of the way, get out of the way. With a few shouts, the crowd split a road, and dozens of security guards held hands to block the crowd. Song Tai, wearing sunglasses and a cheongsam, walked towards David quickly, followed by a group of big sponsors. Song Tai, Song Tai. Seeing Song Tai coming out, many fans exclaimed in excitement one by one. Chen Yingxia trembled with excitement when she saw Song Tai himself. I saw Song Tai walk straight to David, followed Sonia and Ji Yu lingered to nod to say hello, and asked David, Mr. Chen, are you alright? Do you think anything will happen to me? David smiled lightly. Chapter 559. Song Tai also smiled. She knew David's strength. If she was bullied by a teenage hairy child, it would be really funny. Mr. Chen. When the sponsors behind Song Tai saw David, they all hurried forward and greeted him respectfully. Now in the upper class of Horrendal, who doesn't know David? David just nodded slightly, as a greeting. Okay, let's go in, the chaos outside. Song Tai saw that there were many people around, and many fanatical fans were shouting, not a place to chat, so he said. David nodded, and then said to Chen Yingxia, Yingxia, it's okay, let's go in. Who is this? Song Tai looked at Chen Yingxia with a questioning look on his face. This is my cousin. David introduced. When Song Tai heard this, he immediately looked at Chen Yingxia with a smile on his face. So it's my cousin, let's go in with my sister. Song Tai personally took Chen Yingxia's hand and walked towards the venue. Chen Yingxia looked at Song Tai who was close at hand, her whole body was stunned, her mouth was open, and she didn't know what to do with excitement. Song Tai was her idol, and now she actually took her hand and went in together. Chen Yingxia felt that her heart was about to burst out. Many people around were watching this scene, and their envious eyes were about to fall out. Especially the two female classmates of Chen Yingxia, Song Tai actually took Chen Yingxia's hand personally, and it seemed that they were very familiar with Chen Yingxia's brother, both of them would regret it. Welcome to summer. The two female classmates hurriedly shouted at Chen Yingxia. They hope that Chen Yingxia can bring them in too. Chen Yingxia just looked back at the two of them, then turned her head back and ignored them. Chen Yingxia gave them so many opportunities just now, but they didn't appreciate it at all. Song Tai also seemed to see something in Chen Yingxia's eyes, so he said to the staff, these people are of bad character and they are not allowed to enter the concert. After finishing speaking, Song Tai took Chen Yingxia into the venue. David followed behind. Sonia's eyes kept looking at David, she always felt that Song Tai was following David for something. David could only raise his head, pretending that he couldn't see Sonia looking at him, and walked quickly towards the venue. Mr. Chen, Mr. Chen. Zhang Yi was lying on the ground, and when he saw David, he didn't say a word to himself, so he left and shouted hurriedly. But David ignored him, until after David's figure entered the venue, Zhang Yi slumped on the ground. Dad. Zhang Jianpo shivered and shouted in a low voice. Snapped. Zhang Yi's angry slap slapped Zhang Jianpo's face again. You Ba 5 tard, the Zhang family will be defeated by you sooner or later, and I will definitely break your legs after I go back. Zhang Yi roared loudly. David and the others were placed in the first row. This was a position that no amount of money could buy. Looking at Song Tai who was dancing and singing on the stage, David chose to close his eyes. Because he found that Song Tai was on the stage, his eyes could not help looking at him, and there was a bit of tenderness in his eyes. Knowing that Sonia was sitting next to him, David didn't dare to have the slightest crooked thoughts, so he simply closed his eyes and didn't look at it, so that he couldn't find his fault. Sister Song is amazing, so beautiful, I like it so much. Chen Yingxia looked at Song Tai on the stage and shouted excitedly like a little fangirl. Yingxia, let me ask you something. Sonia said to the excited Chen Yingxia. Sister-in-law, what's the matter? Chen Yingxia asked. Chapter 560. You said me and this Song Tai, who do you like more? Sonia asked. As soon as he heard this question, Chen Yingxia was stunned. And David, who closed his eyes slightly, almost didn't laugh out loud. He really didn't expect Sonia to ask such a question. It seems that this woman is jealous, and she really can't look down on it. No wonder it is said that women who are in love have zero IQ. Sister-in-law, of course I like you, you are my sister-in-law. Chen Yingxia cleverly took Sonya's arm and said. Sonya suddenly became happy, her face bursting with laughter, and she also looked at David beside her. She knew that David would definitely be able to hear them. Finally, a concert ended. Song Tai originally wanted to invite David and Chen Yingxia to have a supper together, but David refused. He knew that he had to keep a certain distance with Song Tai, otherwise Sonya would become jealous. The energy of the explosion is very large. However, David still asked Chen Yingxia to accompany Song Tai. After all, Song Tai came to Horrendal to hold a concert for himself, so it was considered polite to have his sister accompany him. When Song Tai left Horrendal, he just sent a message to David, and David didn't send it, but Song Tai made it clear that when he sent stones to David in the future, Song Tai would come in person, which gave David a headache. This girl knows that she has a girlfriend, and she so blatantly expresses her affection for herself. Isn't this causing trouble for herself? In the next few days, David would go shopping with Sonya every day, and then play chess with Ruben. There are no medicinal materials and spiritual stones. David's current cultivation in the Inidia state relies only on the thin spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It's useless. 3 days later, Ji Wenchen found David and followed David to talk about the Kyoto antique auction. Mr. Chen, there will be an antique exhibition and auction in Kyoto tomorrow. I think you should go and have a look. Maybe you can find something that Mr. Chen needs. My dragon chair was obtained from that auction, and there are quite a few rare and precious treasures in it. I heard that this time the Hong Kong businessman also airlifted a batch of magical instruments. You must know that many wealthy nobles are now thinking of asking for one. Magical instruments, and then can reconcile feng shui, and turn bad luck into good luck, so this auction must be very intense. I also have a few unused antiques in my hands, just to see if I can sell them for money, and see if I can collect a few pieces. Nice one. Ji Wenchen has a lot of research on antiques, so when it comes to antiques, the whole person seems very excited. I already know, Zhao Wuqi told me. David said lightly. Zhao Wuqi. Ji Wenchen was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly surprised. Could it be that Mr. Chen is talking about Zhao Wuqi, the pavilion master of the Dharma Protector Pavilion in Kyoto? Yes, it's him. David nodded. Ji Wenchen looked at David in disbelief. He never imagined that David would have an intersection with Zhao Wuqi in the Dharma Protector Pavilion in Kyoto. You must know that even though Ji Wenchen was in the heyday of his career, there was a big gap between him and Zhao Wuqi. The pavilion master of the Dharma Protector Pavilion in Kyoto was an unreachable figure. Ji Wenchen never thought that David would know Zhao Wuqi. Mr. Chen, if you go tomorrow, I'll send a car to pick you up. Ji Wenchen asked. Okay, let's go together tomorrow. David nodded. After all, David had never been to Kyoto and was not familiar with it. Since Ji Wenchen had participated in this auction, it would save trouble if he followed Ji Wenchen. Ji Wenchen left, while Sonya and Ji Linger walked downstairs. David, where did you say you were going with Ji? Sonya asked. David looked at the two people and was a little surprised. He thought they were not at home at all. Chapter 551.